Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Girl Hockey Dad Podcast. Hey. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time. I'm getting a reasonable amount of pressure from the small group of people who actually care about me doing this, that I get some content out there. And I have been working hard to try and get this thing going. My biggest fear, I think, is not having great content or rushing or, I think I said it before. I've said it to everybody I talk to is I don't want to put out something that's not worth listening to. So bear with me as I try and figure out what the format of this thing is going to be and whatnot. I got to say there's been some great conversations. Some really good friends of mine helping me with what they see as being, entertaining to listen to or what I should cover. Luckily, I'm talking to people who are also addicted to podcasts like I am. I actually had to shut off my weekly indulgence of Smartless to get going on this today. But all right, so it was a very busy weekend. It is Tuesday today. This past weekend in Ontario, there were a couple of fairly large tournaments. The Stoney Creek U15AA showcase, their college showcase weekend, and Oshawa had their big Lady Generals fall tournament. I know there was a bunch of other tournaments, so I'm going to try and cover the stuff that I at least know about, and then I'll work on branching out. Don't worry, guys. So it was a crazy weekend at Stoney Creek. 56 teams, I think something like 12 or 13 from the U.S. It was awesome. There was a lot of really, really good hockey. It's going to sound crazy, but these are 14-year-olds, 13, 14-year-olds, and it was great hockey. I watched a bunch of games. Luckily, some teams that I wouldn't normally get to see or my daughters wouldn't normally get to see, we had a chance to watch just because of the way the schedule worked. So it was awesome. Last year there was a couple of teams in the PWHL in this area that were definitely pulling away from the rest of the group. They were really, really strong. So it's cool this year that there's some parity, or not even parity, like the playing field's fairly level. So it's sort of, this tournament specifically was like anybody's games to win. It wasn't, you didn't go into any one specific game being like, oh, they're definitely gonna clean up. So you can definitely check out online the Stoney Creek website. They've got a pretty clean link to the tournament, so you can see all the standings. But I believe the winner of everything on Sunday was Durham West Lightning against Oakville. Yeah, it was crazy. I had the chance to catch Ottawa and Pittsburgh. It was a fantastic game, and I would have been certain that one of them were going to be in the finals. I know Cambridge Roadrunners went undefeated, and they won their, what were they, the bronze group? Yeah, they won out the bronze group, I believe. Brass, who won brass? It was Philadelphia. So Philly won brass. Cambridge won bronze, and silver was Whitby, and then gold was Durham West Lightning. This is a 1-0 OT win over Oakville, so I'm sure that was an amazing game. We were already back in town after our final game in the morning, the consolation game, so I didn't get a chance to catch it. So that was sweet. And then the Oshawa tournament, so they had U11 through U13. Oh, no, they did have U15 as well. Sorry. And U18. Wow, I had no idea. Crazy. So that was a huge success also. Just a couple of highlights here. I think the winner of the U11s, where am I? Winner of the U11s single A group was Napanee. Oh, is it Napanee? Yeah, it was. That was wicked. So Napanee was second overall. They won, they won over Oshawa, the hosts. The U11B teams, it was the Etobicoke Dolphins over the Oshawa Generals again are in there. U13 AA Whitby beat Barrie 4-3, so that's a great result for them. U13A, Nepean Wildcats beat out the Cumberland Stars. That's another great result. U13 Double B, Stoney Creek Sabres beat the Whitby Wolves. U13B here. Sarnia Sting fell 5-1 to Kempville Storm. U15A was, Stony Creek again, 2-0 over Scarborough in the final. What else we got? U15 Double B was the Canada Rangers 5-1 over the Kempville Storm, so another good one. U15B, Woolwich Wild over the Mount Forest Rams. I honestly, this is going to sound terrible, I had no idea Mount Forest had a U15 team, so that's crazy. And then there was a U18 AA. There was 4 teams: Belmont, New Tecumseth, that's right, yep, Niagara Rapids, and West Northumberland. And the final there was West Northumberland versus Belmont, and Belmont took it 4-1. So yeah, busy weekend. I know there was some tournaments down in the States as well. If anybody wants to shoot me a link for that stuff, I can always get into it in the next episode. So, yeah, moving on. There was a lot happening in the PWHL, the new Women's Pro League. There's a lot of talk around rinks, where they're going to be playing for home games. There's still a lot of free agent movement going on right now. There's a bunch of UFAs after the draft. So we're waiting to find out who some of those free agent signings are going to be. And there seems to be something new coming out every couple of days, information-wise, from the league. So I would strongly suggest, if you're not already following, to jump on thepwhl.com. You can pay a deposit now to secure tickets when they do the release. I can't remember when the schedule is coming out, but it's coming out fairly soon. So, I mean, I'm already on there. I think it's $50, but jump online. Definitely get yourself a spot in line, because I think it's going to go fast. Some pretty cool announcements. I mean, Minnesota sounds like they're locked in to play out of the Minnesota Wild's home arena. That's amazing. And then the rumors right now are that Toronto is going to play out of the Coca-Cola Center where the Marlies are playing. So they're not talking about tiny facilities. You're talking about, I mean, you're gonna have a great product in those arenas. So that's super exciting. That's like kind of the best case scenario, honestly. One other thing that was going on this weekend was the U22 Elite Waterloo Ravens season home opener. So I believe that whole season is kicked off with the U22 Elites now. But guys, listen, this is not necessarily a news podcast. I'm just going to try and touch on what I hear is going on. And if that's something people want to hear more about, I'll spend more time on it. But again, this is going to be a journey. I don't know what you guys are going to want to listen to. So we will see. Okay, so I wanted to get into, this is something that I was playing around with a few weeks ago. The content of this podcast, whether it's going to be for people who are seasoned minor hockey parents and players, or if this is going to be for the general public, and I got to try and strike a middle ground, because I want it to be for everybody. I want to be inclusive for everyone and try not to annoy everybody in the meantime. So this came up a few years ago, and any new parent in rep hockey, honestly, starting at U11, which is crazy, and coming up, is going to start to have the feeling that there is all kinds of additional development. There's all kinds of extra ice and these little side development camps that are happening throughout the year that you start to feel like, why don't I know about this? Why am I just, it seems like a select group, and it's usually a couple of dads or a couple of parents, a select group of kids that are getting sort of this extra ice and extra development. And the reality is, like everything else in minor hockey, I don't think this is specific to women's hockey or to girls, but I feel like there's so much going on that people organize or that is out there that exists. There are a ton of different camps and former players that have development camps that exist, but you sort of have to know about them or stumble across them or have somebody tell you about them to get your kid involved. They're all out there, and it used to be, and it's getting better, I should say. It used to be like, you have a couple of practices a week, you have a few games on the weekend, and depending on your kid, depending on how much they love this and how much interest they have in putting more effort into it, you might feel like, well, if there was something extra, I would definitely put them in it, like power skating or shooting, or if you have a goalie, an additional goalie training facility or something. It really does feel like it's turning into, if you aren't seeking those things out and your kid wants to play at a high level, you have to be doing those things to be competitive. I'm not saying that. I'm not necessarily promoting that. I mean, I am a consumer of these things. I have two daughters who, for the most part, doesn't matter what you throw at them, they want as much time on the ice as possible. I have a goalie who, my youngest daughter is a goaltender, and she trains once a week with a goalie facility out of Cambridge, Matt Smith goaltending. And my older daughter, Sophia, has trained for years with Katie Mora from the University of Guelph. She's also worked with Janet Gibson, the figure skating coach there, and has done many, many, many years of power skating with Janet. Those things have helped my daughters incredibly. And I think no matter where you are, what center you're in, somebody has found these training facilities, and they're incorporating them into their center. All that to say is, I know as a new parent, back when we had just jumped into this rep thing, you sort of look around and you're like, well, I feel like everybody's doing something, but we don't even know what there is. Like, how do you find this stuff? I would love to see associations make a much more concerted effort to post these things. Why is it that our associations don't have a list? Everybody's on basically the same platform for the websites. Why isn't there a home bar or something in the homepage that's like, a link to these facilities? It would benefit everybody. The same way a development stream in any center is going to benefit the entire team and the growth of the sport. These development camps or brain fart. The additional training is going to do nothing but help develop these hockey players, and why the heck not? I think it's going to happen faster than some of the conversations I've had. There's going to be a sweeping change in minor hockey, girls minor hockey, because of this. The potential now of a real opportunity to play after collegiate, like after OUA or NCAA. There is a women's pro league. There is a chance for our girls to make a living playing hockey to some extent, even right now. And I mean, it's going to do nothing but grow over the years. But I think that is going to drive change for sure in the minor hockey levels, like starting from novice all the way up. Centers are going to have to be less about, catering to a small group of people that make their way through, and really starting to develop systems that grow the greater good, that benefit everyone, and not the select few. And again, no attacks on anybody here, but that's the reality. Is we're getting into a time when there's going to be more demand for better development faster. I mean, talk to any player, and we're going to, nice segue, we're going to talk to these players that grew up in minor hockey years ago. I want to get a nice broad stroke at players who played 10, 15 years ago, up to ones that are just graduating university now or have recently done so that you can get a comparison from where we were and where we've come to. I don't know how many current players, pro or nearly pro or university I talk to, that just the amount of development that the kids right now, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, the amount of time and ice they're getting compared to what they were is just so much greater. And that's amazing. Like, it should be super exciting for us to see that. It just gives our girls another chance to grow in the sport they love, and possibly make a future of it. There's zero downside. Well, there's not zero downside. I mean, there's a huge competition for ice right now. One of the first comments that I got sent to me from a follower of the Girl Hockey Dad podcast was wanting us to talk about ice distribution to associations. That is a huge topic. There's a lot that's going to have to change as far as availability. If you live in a smaller center, I mean, we're in Guelph. We have an issue with the amount of ice that's available, and the future development of where rinks are going and who gets first access and time slots and all those things. But that is not unique to Guelph. If you're in an even smaller center, Laura Fergus, I'm sure it gets just even more heated when it comes to people trying to get ice for their teams. And then, of course, you can see that would put them at a disadvantage if you're not getting as many practices, or you can't find ice for additional development. Like, how do you compete against teams that are, riddled with open ice? And I don't know if that's fair either. Like, some of the centers that have seen year over year really impressive growth or development, like Oakville, Etobicoke, Stoney Creek. I'm forgetting teams. I'm sorry. My brain shut off there. But those are centers that have some big facilities, a lot of 4-pad centers. They've seen a lot of investment, and that's amazing. But I don't know how much easier it makes life getting ice scheduled. I don't think it does make life that much easier. So that's this year, next year, that's going to be a big conversation. You've got some additional teams joining the OWHA this year, and that's just going to put even more strain on the system. So, I think it's a great problem to have. It shows the growth of the game, and that's incredible. But, we're going to have to figure this out. It can't just be status quo year over year, and we'll just figure it out as we go along. I don't know if my thought process there was a little bit scattered. It likely is, because I get ranting, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's a conversation that's going to be ongoing. The big thing right now, so it's what are we? It's Wednesday today, Wednesday the 27th, and the loops are due out. Who's playing who for the season? I know it was supposed to be formalized on Monday. I don't think it did get formalized, and this is another thing that people want to talk about. It is fairly annoying that we are getting so close to the start of the season and you're still not entirely sure what your loop's going to be, where you're traveling is, how far away you're going to go. This has been this way for years, and I'm sure there's got to be a change coming soon. But who knows when? So I think I probably rambled on long enough for today. We'll see. I am going to be announcing the first guest, the first interview shortly within the next couple of weeks, I hope. I think I'm more excited about the interviews than anything. I'm sure everybody else is too, because honestly, I'm just another voice in the void, just like yelling on Twitter. But getting these interviews, I think this is the most exciting part for me, is going to be having conversations with former players, current players, coaches. That's going to be the stuff that I really want to get into. I don't know that there's been a platform, a great platform anyways, that's easily accessible to hear stories and learn and grow and all these things. And all of a sudden there's more and more and more and more, which is super exciting. And that's awesome. So, all right. I really do appreciate the support that I've got so far with this venture. And I promise I am going to work to make it better. There's going to be a mess of mistakes from time to time. My lovely wife had to call me after I made the sort of launch announcement last week. And there must have been There must have been like 15 spelling mistakes, and yeah, so not awesome. My quality control on this thing is gonna have to get better. I thankfully have some great people helping me out with editing and with music and all of that great stuff, and having my wife actually care about me not making a fool of myself, which I do very easily on my own. I don't need any help. She's going to try and help me, which I really appreciate. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We are up on Apple Podcasts. I think that's right. And Spotify. So yeah, thanks a lot for listening, and we'll see you next week.